Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to have this chance to give you a lecture about popular stories from internet. Today, we'll try to see from the stories happiness, which Chinese often talk about. My lecture will be composed of the following 4 parts. The first part, happiness is available within us. The second part, don't place hatred upon our souls. The third part, consider things from a positive perspective. The fourth part, learn to make other people happy. Now, let's go on one by one. As we know, the essence of China's reform and opening up is to put people first and meet their ever-growing material and cultural needs through releasing and developing productive forces. It aims to give everyone equal opportunities for all-round development. It aims to protect the democratic rights of the people and promote stability, harmony, and prosperity across the land. And it aims to safeguard the dignity and freedom of everyone so that he or she may pursue happiness with ingenuity and hard work. Happiness is what we all want, yet at times it might seem like something that is not within our reach. Think about this for a minute. Where is happiness? May I suggest that happiness is within you, available anytime you need it. Yet many times we look for happiness elsewhere as if it's elusive, something we have to seek out. Have you ever heard a very popular story from internet? Happy and content farmer. There was a farmer in Africa who was happy and content. He was happy because he was content. He was content because he was happy. One day, a wise man came to him and told him about the glory of diamonds and the power that goes along with them. The wise man said, if you had a diamond the size of your sun, you could have your own city. If you had a diamond the size of your fist, you could probably own your own country. And then he went away. That night, the farmer couldn't sleep. He was unhappy and he was discontent. He was unhappy because he was discontent, and discontent because he was unhappy. The next morning, he made arrangements to sell off his farm, took care of his family, and went in search of diamonds. He looked all over Africa and couldn't find any. He looked all through Europe and couldn't find any. When he got to Spain, he was emotionally, physically, and financially broke. He got so disheartened that he threw himself into the Barcelona River and committed suicide. Back home, the person who had bought his farm was watering the camels at a stream that ran through the farm. Across the stream, the rays of the morning sun hit a stone and made it sparkle like a rainbow. He thought it would look good on the mantelpiece. He picked up the stone and put it in the living room. That afternoon, the wise man came and saw the stone sparkling. He said, "That's a diamond. I recognize one when I see one." The man said, "No, that's just a stone I picked up from the stream. Come, I'll show you. There are many more. They went and picked some samples and sent them for analysis. Sure enough, the stones were diamonds. They found that the farm was indeed covered with acres and acres of diamonds. What is the moral of this story? There are 4 morals. 1, when our attitude is right, we realize that we are working on acres and acres of diamonds. Happiness is always under our feet. We don't have to go anywhere. All we need to do is to recognize it. 2, the grass on the other side always looks greener. 3, while we are envious of the grass on the other side, there are others who are envious of the grass on our side. They would be happy to trade places with us. 4, when people don't know how to recognize opportunity, they complain of noise when it knocks. And sometimes we feel unhappy just because we have a problem. We are full of anger. Hatred is all around us. Perhaps we aren't happy with our spouse. We aren't happy with our boss. We were bullied in school. So much anger and hatred placed upon our souls. We all think or have thought about it at one time or another. Revenge. Yes. We plan, we let our minds conjure up ways to get back at someone who we believe has wronged us. Victor Antonia is an author and motivational speaker. He once shared an incident that happened to him. During high school, he was taller than most of other boys, and so he was invited to play on a basketball team. In fact, he was not good at playing basketball. His motor coordination ability was very weak. On his team, there was a guy called John who often bullied Victor and took pleasure in finding any opportunity to make fun of Victor's lack of basketball ability. John was a good basketball player. He was always making some tricks to let Victor fall down, or fail to receive the ball, or being hit by the ball. Every time Victor thought of John, his mind would race with all bad things he'd like to see happen to John. He wanted to execute some type of revenge. But in the end, he didn't execute his revenge plan. Soon, he graduated from high school and went about creating his success. 23 years later, he was invited as a successful person back to do a speech at his former high school. The auditorium was filled to the brim with students. As he approached the stage door, which led to the stage, coming from the other direction was a familiar face wearing a dark green jumpsuit. Yeah, you guessed it, it was John. John looked at Victor up and down and said with a sense of amazement, "Are you the speaker?" Victor nodded his head as John continued to look in disbelief, as if a ghost had come to pay him a visit. Guess what happened? Nothing came out. Anger and resentment dissipated the moment Victor started talking to John. They treated each other as politely as any others. They went on asking each other how they were doing, about family, and so on. Before Victor excused himself to go speak, John mentioned that he was married, had 3 kids, and that he was the school janitor. Victor's mind yelled, "Who? The school janitor?" As Victor looked into the audience while speaking on his success, he saw John off to the side smiling, as he seemed to be enjoying the speech. After speech, John came by to shake hands with Victor and congratulated. He said, "Victor, that was great. I was telling some of the students that I went to school with you." They talked a little longer before saying their pleasant goodbye. For the rest of the day, Victor's mind was whipping from the past to the present and how much he and John had changed. He no longer had ill feelings towards John. He no longer wished him harm. He began to reflect on how time changes people all. Many of us carry some sort of anger and hatred towards someone who has wronged us in the past. How foolish it is to waste all that mental energy on sorts of old memories, to torture ourselves. As we grow older, so does our appreciation for life and humanity. None of us with a true sense of decency can possibly wish any harm or misfortune to befall a fellow human being. We should therefore stop torturing ourselves by exhuming the past. Stop it. Cut it out. Focus your energy on building or rebuilding your success. Happiness will smile in your direction. Just to be happy sounds too simplistic, doesn't it? But in fact, we can have much more happiness if we choose to consider things from a positive perspective. Everyone experiences the ups and downs of life. However, we can make a decision to dwell on the negative or practice what the old saying says to do: when life gives you lemon, make lemonade. You have the ability to mold your attitude into any shape you like. The next story, The Best Flower, is about it. A lady was sitting on the park bench. This place was deserted and unfrequented. Beneath the long, straggly branches of an old willow tree, she sat frowning over the book on life. She needed a careful reflection upon the world, which seemed to be intent on dragging her down. As if that weren't enough to ruin her day, the god sent a young boy to bother her, although she hid herself in such a deserted place. The young boy, out of breath, approached her, all tired from play. He stood right before her with his head tilted down and said with great excitement, "Look what I found." In his hand was a flower, and what pitiful sight! With its petals all warm, not enough rain, or too little light. Wanting him to take his date flower and go off to play. The lady faked a small smile and then shifted away. But instead of leaving, he sat next to her side and placed the flower to his nose and declared, "It surely smells pretty and it's beautiful too. That's why I pick it. Here, it's for you." The flower before her was dying or dead. No vibrant of colors, origin, yellow or red. But she knew she must take it, or he might not leave. So she reached for the flower and thoughtlessly replied, "Very nice." But instead of his placing the flower in her hand, he held it mid-air, without reason or plan. It was then that the lady noticed for the very first time that boy was blind. She heard her voice quiver, tears shone in the song, as she thanked him for picking the very best one. "You're welcome," he smiled, and then ran off to play, unaware of the impact he had had on her. The lady wondered how he managed to see a self-pitying woman believes an old willow tree. How did he know of her self-indulged plight? Perhaps from his heart, he'd been blessed with true sight. Through the eyes of a blind child, at last, the lady could see the problem was not with the world. She, herself, was the problem. And for all of those times, her heart had been blind. She vowed to open her heart and see the beauty in life and appreciate every second. And then she held that wilted flower up to her nose and breathed in the fragrance of a beautiful rose, and smiled as she watched the young boy, another wilted flower in his hand, about to help another self-pitying woman out of her self-indulged plight. We are human, like everyone else, and from time to time, we need a little pick-me-up in our decision to be happy. However, from the story above, we know a happy person is not a person in a certain set of circumstances, but rather a person with a certain set of attitudes. What you get out of life is exactly what you put into it. If you want to change your life, all you have to do is learn to think differently. Learn to think positive thoughts. Choose today to just be happy, as much as it depends on you. When you change your thoughts to positive ones, you attract positive people, which in turn begets better outcomes and opportunities for yourself. Don't think so? Then, think about this. When you meet someone and they are happy, full of life, treat you like you are special, how does that make you feel? You want to be around people who make you feel good. It's human nature. So, if you make the decision to be happy, you will attract that. You will attract the people who will want to help you. Your life will get better because like begets like. If nothing helps you to be happy, then it's time to forget your self-interest and focus on others. Now, another story is coming to my mind. That is, happiest day of my life. A man worked in an office with large windows facing a busy overpass. He was standing by one of those windows one day when a woman in a passing car looked up and made eye contact. Naturally, he waved. She turned and tried to identify him. It was the beginning of a year of window antics. When things were slow, the man would stand in the window and wave at the passengers who looked up. The strange looks made him laugh, and the stress was washed away. Co-workers began to take an interest. They would stand from view, watch the reactions he received, and laugh along. Late afternoon was the best time. Rush hour traffic filled overpass with cars and transit buses, and providing lots of waving material for the end of the day routine. It didn't take long to attract the following. A group of commuters who passed the window every day and looked up at the strange waving man. There was a man with a construction truck who would turn on his flashing yellow light to return. But his favorite was a transit bus from the docks that passed his window at 4:40 p.m. It carried the same group every day, and they became his biggest fans. After a while, waving became boring, so he devised ways to enhance his act. He made signs, "Hi," "Hello," "Be happy," and posted them in the window and waved. He stood on the window ledge in various poses, created hats from paper, made faces, danced wildly, stuck out his tongue, and tossed the paper plans in the air. Christmas approached. The job cuts were a loss. Several co-workers would lose their jobs, and everyone was feeling low. Stress in the office reached a high. A miracle was needed to repair the damage caused by the announcements. He used the cotton to make Santa's hat and cut some old calendars into strips, which became Santa's beard. The next working day, he hid from his co-workers, slipped into the costume, walked bravely to his desk, sat down, held his belly, and mocked Santa's chuckle. As they gathered around him, laughing, it was the first time he had seen them smile in weeks. That evening, and every evening of the Christmas season, he stood proudly in the window. That spring, he and his wife were expecting their first child, and he wanted the world to know. Less than a month before the birth, he posted a sign in the window, 25 days until B-Day. His fans paused and shrugged their shoulders. The next day, the sign read, 24 days until B-Day. Each day, the number dropped, and the passing people grew more confused. One day, a sign appeared in the bus. What is B-Day? He just waved and smiled. 10 days before the expected date, the sign in the window read, 10 days until BA day. Still, the people wonder. The next day, it read 9 days until BAB day. Then 8 days until BABY, baby day. And his fans finally knew what was happening. Excitement grew as the number decreased. His fans were disappointed when the count reached 0 without an announcement. The next day, the sign read, baby day 1 day late. Each day, the number changed, and the interest from passing cars grew. When his wife was 14 days overdue, she went into labor, and the next morning their daughter was born. He left the hospital at 5:30 a.m., screamed his joy into the still morning air, and drove home to sleep. He got up at noon and appeared at his window in time for his fans. His co-workers were ready with a banner posted in the window, "That's a go." He wasn't alone that night. His co-workers joined him in celebration. The passers-by clasped their hands in his direction. The drivers waved when waiting for the traffic light. Passengers made a victory gesture. He felt a sensation of happiness. Then a thing happened. A sign popped up in the bus. It filled the windows and stretched half the length of the bus. Congratulations. Tears formed in the corners of his eyes. As the bus slowly resumed its journey, he stood in silence as the bus pulled from view. More fans passed and tooted their horns or flashed their lights to display their happiness. But he hardly noticed them as he pondered what had just happened. His daughter had been born 14 days late. Those people must have carried the sign unrolled on the bus for at least 2 weeks. Every day they had unrolled it and then rolled it back up. From the story, I understand that. Make other people happy, and you will reap the rewards. The pursuit of happiness for the people has long been a subject of interest for the Chinese government. The age-old dream of the Chinese nation is being turned into reality. A dream to see young educated, the sick treated, and the old cared for. The government has created favorable conditions for the Chinese people's happy life. Several years ago, CCTV launched a survey titled, "Are You Happy?" in its news program. Please watch TV.
伴娘您来，问你呢，您幸福吗？
幸福啊！
幸福啊！
啊，
您觉得幸福是什么呀？
幸福啊，就是现在的幸福就老了，有个老伴儿，有个老窝，还有个老鸨。
In the survey, television reporters conducted random street talk, asking people whether they are happy. The organizer of the survey revealed that 45% of Chinese people feel happy, and 11% feel not happy. But what makes us really happy? Let's keep the 4 points in mind. 1. happiness is available within us. 2. Don't place hatred upon our souls. 3. Consider things from a positive perspective. And 4. Learn to make other people happy. Okay, that's my lecture about happiness I learned from some popular English stories online. And I sincerely hope that all of us here and the other Chinese people will lead a happy life and build China into a happy homeland. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.